guys, so today's video is going to be a review and tutorial on two of the palettes from the new Ace Beauty Paradise collection. I have the Classical Paradise palette here. The inside looks like this. And then I also have the Paradise Fallen palette, which looks like this. I'm going to insert pictures of swatches that I did that I put on my Instagram just so you can get kind of the full picture of these when they're swatched. I love these palettes. The matte shades in these palettes are definitely the standout shades. They are highly pigmented, but they're quite soft, so that makes them a little more forgiving. I feel like when you're blending them on the eyes, they blend themselves basically. And honestly, the way that these palettes are laid out and the color stories are thought out, whenever you blend them together, it's really, really unlikely that they're going to turn out muddy unless it's something that maybe doesn't work as well on your skin tone. Especially with the Paradise or the Classical Paradise palette, the way the shadows blend brings out the best of each of the shadows. I'm going to give you like a couple favorites from each of these palettes. I'm obsessed with Maize and Golden Apple from the Classical Paradise palette. Those are the kind of the green and the yellow that are right next to each other there. I just think they're really unique colors, and the way that they blend both together on top of one another and then blend if you're going to use one in the crease and the other on the lid. It looks really cool. It becomes a very mustardy color, and I'm kind of really into that right now, like kind of different cool colors. Like I've used this palette a few times now, and I've done a mix of Maize and Golden Apple, just back and forth, alternating between the two, building it up on my lid and through my crease, and that was it on my lid, and I thought it looked really cool. Now the shimmers, I like the shimmers a lot. I find that they apply best with the finger. I don't really like the way that they apply with a brush, and with the finger you can do it dry or wet. Dry still looks really beautiful and you definitely still get payoff, but if you want it to look more foiled, obviously wet your finger with the shadow on it and pat it on, and that's how you get like the highest intensity from the shimmers. I do really like them. I think Sunflower in this Classical Paradise palette is a really interesting shimmer color. It's like a very yellowy green. I'm really into it. That's what's on my lid right now. You'll see in the tutorial for this. Rachel C Makeup on Twitter and Instagram helped Ace Beauty develop these palettes, and I think they were spot on with kind of the color combinations that they use, because it's really easy to look at these palettes and come up with ideas for looks. And I think that this Paradise Fallen palette is especially well thought out because it is filled with really fabulous bright shades. This Night Sky one is a really cool color. You'll see in the tutorial for this palette. It looks quite blue in the pan, but there's very much a purple shift to it, and it's gorgeous. But in addition to all these brights, this top row, and especially kind of this part of it right here, is still quite neutral, airing a little bit warm, and I think it gives the palette a nice balance, and you can still get some very wearable looks out of this one, and all out of the other one as well. I think the texture of these shadows is really nice. The shimmers are almost like, here's Harvest from the Classical Paradise palette, and they feel very soft and a little creamy. This is that Harvest shade. It's really beautiful, kind of rusty color. And then the mattes, like I said, are quite soft. They're not chalky in the slightest, and they blend themselves out. From the Classical Paradise palette, I really like the color Eve. It's a very vibrant blue with kind of a purple undertone, and I really like that color as well. There is a bit of kick up with the mattes in the palette. I'm not bothered by that personally. It's really easy to just pick up whatever kicks up on your brush for the other eye, or when you build it up or pack it back into the pan. For me, when there's kick up in a shadow, it means that they're soft. It usually means they're more forgiving to work with, better for beginners because they kind of just blend themselves. I don't want to ramble anymore because I feel like my thoughts are there on the palettes. I really, really enjoy them. So let's just get right into the tutorials. The first one up is for the Paradise Fallen palette. All right, so today we're playing with the Ace Beauty Paradise Fallen palette right here. I obviously have already done my right eye, and we're moving on to left eye. I've already primed with my Milani eyeshadow primer. We're gonna dip into Pure first. This gray color in the corner, and it's very, very light gray, so it does kind of work as a transition color, but we're gonna go in with something else a little bit later. then the second shade we're gonna go into is Vine, which is this matte kind of brown color here. It looks warmer in the pan than it actually is, which honestly is fine with me. Like, this is a purple palette. It's good to have a little bit of variety in there, and also it does look cooler on the eye than it does in the pan. But it's still fairly neutral, and I'm just gonna go right in on my outer corner. What we're actually gonna do though, as you can kind of tell from this, is sort of the soft halo eye. So I'm gonna go in on my outer corner and up through my crease. And then we're also gonna go in the inner corner. Then I'm gonna switch brushes. I'm gonna take a slightly more precise tapered blending or crease brush. I'm gonna go into Stone, which is this darker gray color. And I'm gonna just take that right on the very outer corner. That's to deepen it up, give a little more dimension, just through the very outer part of the crease as well. And then what I realized, just for my own preferences and my own skin tone, it was coming off a little too gray. So I just popped into my Ace, the Classical Paradise palette, and took a teeny tiny bit of Rye and ran that gently through the crease just to bring a little warmth back to the look and kind of blend out those cooler colors. And then once I did that, I went back into the Paradise Fallen palette and did the same thing as I did before with Vine and Stone. Just so people are aware, I do have a section of my left eye right here at the outer corner where my eyeshadow just never really wants to blend quite right. I promise it's user error, not eyeshadow error, that it won't blend here. Like, it looks fine, it looks totally normal on this side, but this side it just never quite wants to blend into that shape that I like. So then I'm just gonna go back into Stone really quick. Now that we're done with kind of the shape of the mattes and everything, I'm gonna go in with the shade Orion right here, like a taupe rose shimmer kind of color. I guess this is the closest I can get to describing it. I'm just gonna take that on my finger and I'm gonna pop that in the middle. And now that we've put that one down, we're gonna take just a teeny tiny bit of Moon Glow, which is the silver color in the palette, on a different finger, and just tap that right in the very center of this just to give it an extra bit of highlight. That is the lid's done. I'm gonna take a moment, do my face, and then I'll be back to do the lower lash line. So I'm back to finish off the eyes. The first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this L'Oreal Silkissime liner in the shade Blue Cobalt, and I'm just going to run that along my waterline. Then I'm going to take the shade Eve, which is this like deep blue with a bit of a purple undertone, but it is like blue-ish. It's very bright. I'm going to take it on my little e.l.f. pencil brush, and I'm just going to use that to blend out. I'm going to take that same brush, and I'm going to take that shade right next to Eve called Night Sky, which is almost the same tone except just shimmery. And I'm going to put that on the inner portion of my waterline. Oh, that actually comes off a lot more purple, at least when you use it with the brush, but I really like the way it looks, so I'm cool with that. Ooh, that looks so neat. That was a fun little unexpected twist. So into the way that looks, dude. That was unexpected, but I'm pleased with how it turned out. And then I'm gonna take that little e.l.f. brush. I'm gonna take just a teeny tiny bit of Vine and blend that out underneath. And the very last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the Kevyn Aucoin palette for the highlight that I used, which is the Celestial Powder in Candlelight right here. I'm just going to take that on my ring finger and press that into my inner corner. I'm going to go put mascara on, grab a lip, and I'll be right back to show you the finished look. I'm back. I used my Lancome Monsieur Big waterproof mascara as usual these days because it's very hot and sweaty out. And then for lip, I did the Bite Beauty Chai with a teeny bit of Marc Jacob lipstick and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I did a little bit of a mix of these, mostly chai with a bit of the Marc Jacobs one in the middle, and really like blotted that out once it was on. And then I put NARS Chelsea Girl gloss on top of that. Alright, so this is the finished look with the Paradise Fallen palette. A really fun kind of halo smoky eye with a pop on the lash line. I'm obsessed with this look. I'm definitely gonna do this like often. I think this is fun, and I think the lower lash line with the color is an easy, approachable way to do color if you're not super into it. Most of the time, or if you're trying to get into it but you're not sure how. I love this palette. The colors in here are so fun. Alright, so we're going to get right into my tutorial with the Ace Beauty Classical Paradise palette. Clearly, I've already done my left eye. I'm going to do my right eye with you on camera. I've already primed my eye, and we're going to just jump right in. The first shade I'm going to go in with is the shade Rye. Right here, this kind of warm rye color, honestly. We're just going to take that right through the crease. I'm using my NYX blending brush. So we're really just using that for a bit of a transition. Now I'm going to jump into Maze, which is this kind of golden yellow color. And I'm going to take that also through the crease, but like very far up in my crease. I'm also going to take that kind of up in my inner corner and up to the brow bone. For me, I just find because I have these hooded eyes and my brow bone is quite close to my eye, I do feel like bringing eyeshadow right up to my brow bone sometimes can open my eye up more, especially if it's a lighter color like this. So that's why I'm doing that. You don't have to be super precise about it. I'm not being a stickler about keeping this off of the lid. It's totally fine if it gets on the lid. The next shade I'm going to go into is this shade right here called Vegetation, this really vibrant orange color. going to take it on the same brush, but I am going to be careful about bringing it too far up into the crease. This one is going to kind of be set a bit lower. If you think about the crease in like 3 sections, this would be the middle section of the crease. Then I'm gonna go back into Maze and just kind of build it up as I go. I'm gonna go back and forth kind of between those until it's where I want it to be. And the way these colors blend together, honestly, I think that they bring out the color even more. Like when I blend this yellow over the orange, I feel like it makes the yellow pop even more. So next I'm going to take my Sephora crease brush number 73 and go into the shade Clay. It's a berry red. It's a bright berry red. And I'm going to run this through the bottom part of the crease. And I'm going to be careful about just keeping it quite low in the crease section. I'm going to do that same thing that I did with Maze and Vegetation. I'm going to go back and forth between Vegetation and Clay until I kind of have it at the point where I want it to be. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the shade Sunflower, which is this yellow, it's like a yellow gold shimmer, but definitely there's a bit of green in there. And I'm just going to go with that on my finger and put that kind of the middle of the lid and then bring it towards my inner corner. I'm going to leave the outer portion of my eye very much not shimmery. And you can definitely leave it there if you want. It's nice payoff on the shimmer, but I am going to go back in with my finger and then get my finger wet with my setting spray, my all-nighter setting spray, but you can use any setting spray you have, obviously. I'm just going to go back over that. And then the last thing I'm going to do in my eyes for now is I'm going to go back into Maze on my NYX brush and just bring a little bit more through my inner corner brow bone area just to kind of blend out that shimmer a little bit and blend up through the crease. All right, I'm gonna go do my face makeup really quickly and I'll be back to finish off the lower lash line. Alright, so I'm back to finish off the lower lash line, and what I think I'm actually going to do, just because I wanted to try to use as many colors as I could, I'm going to go into Golden Apple, which is this green color. It's a very like mustardy olive green, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. And I'm going to just take that on my Body Shop kind of dual-ended eyeshadow brush. Obviously on the end that's more for blending, and I'm going to run that right along my lower lash line. Sorry the lighting got so bad. It just started pouring in New York City, so. Alright, so I'm going to take that color on the outer portion of my lower lash line, obviously both eyes. And then I'm going to go into Vegetation again, that orange color. And I'm gonna flip the brush and take it on this more precise kind of eyeliner shape. Forgot that I stamped a bit of earth on the outer lash, just to give it a little bit of definition. Literally all I did for that. Anyway, I'm gonna go into Vegetation with that brush. I'm gonna run that along the inner portion of the lash line. And I'm gonna kind of try to do one of those fake tear duct things where you kind of bring the line a little lower, like that. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. I'm into that. And it's kind of off the cuff, clearly. I'm just trying to play and use as many interesting colors from the palette as possible. Alright, it's a little messy, but you know, you get the point of what I was trying to do. I'm going to take that fluffier end and just kind of blend the two colors together along that middle section. And then I'm just going to go back to my big fluffy brush, take Maze, and blend both of those out to meet what we did on the upper part of the lid. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same brush and I'm going to dip into Barley, which is this champagne-y color right here. And I'm just going to buff that right into my inner corner. And I'm also just going to, when I buff that in, I'm just going to bring it up towards my brow bone as well. Again, I feel like it opens up my eyes, which can sometimes seem closed off. Those are the eyes finished. I'm gonna go do my mascara and put on the lip, and I'll be back to show you the finished look. All right guys, this is the finished look. I used my Ciate Wonder Wand mascara, and then I used my ColourPop lippy stick in the shade Frenchie, just to bring out the red in the eyes a little bit. I kind of wanted to keep going with the kind of sunset color theme. And then I did my Fenty Gloss Bomb on top of it. Alright guys, so those were tutorials for the Paradise Fallen palette and the Classical Paradise palette from the new Ace Beauty Paradise collection. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope the review was helpful for you if you were thinking about getting a couple of these palettes. I highly, highly recommend them. I think the quality is top notch, and I think that the colors in all of the palettes are really well thought out, and I am inspired every time I look at them. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe and comment below if you have any things you want to see from me. Thanks so much. Bye.